Hello, my name is Hannah, and this is my presentation on civil liberties and rights. And in this presentation, I'm going to break down what most people don't know and the common misconception about their constitutional rights. Alrighty, our first topic is freedom of religion. This is our First Amendment, and it protects us from government religion, stating that the U.S. government cannot declare one specific religion for the U.S. in its entirety. Under this law, we do have our free exercise clause that doesn't protect us from illegal acts, though, right? So human sacrifice is still illegal and punishable, even if it's for a religion. A misconception is that prayer isn't allowed in schools, which is not true. Individual prayer is, just as long as the school is not sponsoring it. Our second topic is freedom of speech, and this protects us from government punishment, but not from private sectors, that being a workplace, for example, as well as hate speech is often protected as well, unless it threatens something or includes an illegal act. And a misconception kind of relates back to being protected by the government, but not private sectors, right? So freedom of speech doesn't mean you're free from your consequences, right? For example, if you say something inappropriate in the workplace, your employer still can fire you. Perfect. This leads us into our next topic, freedom of the press, right? So in this topic, the government can't stop a story from being published, as well as public figures have to prove actual malice in order to win a libel case, which is something really hard to do. And a misconception about the press is that some people think that the media can't lie, which isn't true. They can, but unintentionally. Alrighty, search and seizure, right? This is our Fourth Amendment, and we kind of relate this to warrants and things like that. And police don't necessarily need a warrant if there's a probable cause. For example, if you get pulled over and there's drugs in sight, this is a probable cause to search your car. As well as schools have limited rights to search student property for their safety. And a misconception about search and seizure is that some may think that if there's no warrant, the police is searching unreasonably, but again, that's not true. If there's reasonable cause, it is allowed. Due process helps to protect liberty, property, and one's rights, right? But in order for this, a fair legal process has to be done, meaning the government has to follow specific steps before taking those liberties or rights away. And a misconception about this is that some may think that this only applies to criminal cases, but again, that's not true. They have to follow specific steps before taking one's property or rights away individually. Ninth Amendment this amendment is a bit tricky, right? But overall, it protects rights that are not listed in the Constitution, right? So it supports implied rights like one's privacy and even equal marriage. A misconception is that some people might think that the government or Supreme Court invents rights out of nowhere, but that's not necessarily true. The Ninth Amendment anticipates these out of nowhere laws. The next topic is the 10th Amendment, which gives powers not listed to the states or the people, and it creates the foundation for state versus federal power debates, which is really big. And a misconception is that many people think that states can ignore rulings or laws created by the federal government, which is not true. They're still supreme in this matter. Alrighty, equal protection as pertaining to the Constitution, it applies to the state government, not private individual citizens, and it's foundational for the civil rights and anti-discriminational rulings. And some people think that equal protection means identical treatment, but what it really means is fair treatment under said law. And it also doesn't just protect race, but gender, religion, and all of those factors that you could think of. Our last and final topic is discrimination and protection, which kind of bounces off our previous slide, but this topic is still a little different. It does ban workplace discrimination based on race, religion, national origin, things like that, as well as sexual harassment does count as discrimination too, just to inform you guys. And some common misconception is that they think this topic only covers the process of being hired and fired, which is not true. It also covers promotion, pay wage, and work environment as well. Another big misconception is that only women can be discriminated, but that is not true. It also happens to men in the workplace and other situations as well. Alrighty, guys, that is the end of my presentation. Our rights do sound pretty simple when all put together like this, but the details are significant. Understanding how they really work is the best way of protecting them.